Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a video for you about my top 10 fixes that Sledgehammer Games could implement in Call of Duty Vanguard in order to add extra longevity to the game, and I'll give them credit where credit is due. The game has already pretty much massively improved since beta. It's way better and they're definitely moving in the right direction, but no product is perfect, so I wanted to offer some opinions on how to make it even better in the upcoming patches, because I'd really like to see this game have legs. If you want to support me in the store, you can use creator code DRIFTOR. It has to be all caps. The O is a 0 on the number pad, and that does make this video sponsored by Activision. I'm gonna have to make a whole video explaining that one later. But for now, let's get on with the topic. The first thing, the most important thing that I think needs improvement is spawns. While there's a lot of things that were improved since beta, the spawns haven't really changed very much, and they're extremely rough right now. It feels like enemies can spawn on top of you sometimes. I'm spawning inside of teammates. There have been instances where I've spawned facing a cliff or a hole, like on the dome map, so I'm like, rush and fight, and then I spawn facing an edge and just run right off the cliff like an idiot. Now that's a little bit of a me problem, but it's kind of weird to spawn like facing instant death. It's kind of like troll portals you would put up in Apex, and I've also spawned facing the wrong direction. I've spawned into gunfire and grenades a whole bunch of times, and in general, it kind of feels like the spawn points are flipping too often. If you're playing objective game modes and you're getting back into the enemy spawn, it is very easy to kind of flip those around, and once they start flipping, instead of just swapping back, you just trade spawns, it tends to go all chaotic and do a number of unpredictable things. So I feel like Sledgehammer could use to put a lot of work into checking out the spawn algorithm so that there's a lot less spawn kills, spawn deaths, and spawns facing walls and holes and things like that. As with any FPS game, much less Call of Duty in particular, there are some guns that currently just outclass the others. Even without super good attachments, the STG is very easy to use. It's very easy to hit people at long ranges with. And the MP40 is very similar. It's got fantastically low recoil for an SMG, so I can doink people at long ranges, even if it's not doing a whole bunch of damage. And those two guns are just great primarily for their ease of use. However, a lot of guns, and I believe both of those have this proficiency called Vital, which extends your headshot damage down to the upper chest and sometimes the torso area depending on the gun. And the headshot multipliers in Call of Duty Vanguard are very high. So that turns some guns, like an STG, into maybe a 2-shot kill, or one to the chest and one to the body, just so long as you're not shooting legs or something. However, it can also do that on a number of submachine guns, and if I remember correctly, there's a different proficiency that will increase the amount of headshot damage you get, kind of like old, I think it was high caliber is what they used to have in Black Ops 4. And I think you can stack those. There's so many goofy things you can do. You can turn the Type 100 into a 2-shot kill weapon. I watched a dude, and I think he was playing on PlayStation, so he basically just lined his Type 100 up at head height and never looked up or down or anything, and just walked around the map just doinking people, just two-tapping people to the head over and over and over again. And thanks to YouTubers and YouTube videos, people have kind of learned about that. So there's a lot of now extremely fast killing weapons in the game. Makes me feel like I'm playing hardcore mode, and it's primarily because of some of the proficiencies and attachments on the weapons, and less so the weapons themselves. So I would like to see this Vital proficiency, and really any of the ones that play with the multipliers and regions, to get significantly nerfed. That needs to get toned back, or it's going to turn into like a CSGO type picking game. Moving along in the weapons category, I gotta say I'm not a fan of Bloom. I watched Exclusive Ace's video on this. I thought about shamelessly copying him and stealing his content, but everybody in the community has already seen it. So the short version is that Sledgehammer Games added in aimed on sights Bloom, kind of like Fortnite or like how Battlefield used to do. So wherever your little red dot is, your bullet doesn't necessarily always go there. Each gun has a little bit of an invisible Hipfire Box that you can't see, so they can go a little bit sideways. Now there are different attachments that can tighten that up significantly. There are different weapons that perform a little better than others, but a lot of the guns now have Fortnite-like bloom. It's just enough to be below noticeable for a lot of players, but I just don't think it's a good mechanic, mostly because it hasn't been in Call of Duty for a long time, and maybe even more importantly, there's no HUD indicators or anything on the screen. You don't know what your bloom is, you don't know what it's doing. You wouldn't even know it was there if it weren't for YouTubers to dig through things. So what'll just end up happening is you'll track people really well, and you'll think that you should be hitting them, but because of the bloom, your bullets will be going sideways, and it'll just make the game feel broken. It'll make it feel unsatisfying and kind of random, and I think that if we significantly tightened the bloom or just got rid of the mechanic altogether, it would make the game feel a lot nicer, smoother, and more consistent. Moving along, I've got two sets of discussions about maps and then kill streaks. I think that the maps could use a little bit of alteration in terms of sight lines and head glitches. A lot of them have what I would call safe spaces where you can easily head glitch and it can't be shot through, at least not with FMJ or with anything else. And there's sort of inconsistent destruction on some of the maps to where sometimes some of the wood planks just soak up bullets and they don't seem to break easy, and the people behind them take no damage whatsoever. And then there's some pretty tough looking walls that you can penetrate very easily with FMJ and just very easily like wallbang people. So there's a lot of inconsistency in these destructible and penetratable sight lines in the game. There are definitely some superpower positions you can get into. I like to see a little bit of touch up on that and a little bit more consistency in the amount of damage that it takes to break some of these destructibles, or the amount of bullet penetration that you get on them, because some of them are like paper and some of them are like sandbags, even though they destruct on it. There's not a lot of logic to it. Moving along from that, I also take issue with the color scheme still. We talked about this in our full version review and in the beta, and it's been improving along the way. So Call of Duty Vanguard, a lot of the new maps have much better lighting than the ones we saw in the beta, and in general they did a lighting pass to make almost all of the lighting better, but it's still not good. It's still not great. There's still a lot of dark areas on the maps. There's still a lot of sepia. There's still a lot of browns and grays. I feel like we could use at least one more lighting pass on the old maps, and then maps moving forward, whatever they're releasing for DLC, I'd like to see them be a little bit more colorful, a little bit more bright in the daytime, because while it's atmospheric and it's realistic and it's kind of cinematic in a sense to fight in the darkness, it's also not very fun for the player to kind of squint and try to see like little muzzle flashes in the darkness. I prefer clearness and simplicity in the game, even if it's not particularly realistic. Then we've got two opinions, so that'll be numbers 6 and 8 on kill streaks. Kill streaks are also kind of inconsistent like the weapons. There are some of them that are incredibly fun and satisfying. Like the Flame Juggernaut is one of my favorite juggernauts of all time in any Call of Duty game. I love it. I like the dogs. However, there are some other ones that are very bland and lackluster. There's a sort of blind automatic fire bombing run. It kills people, it's effective, it just isn't particularly satisfying. The glide bombs are pretty satisfying, if not inconsistent. The little tank that rolls around isn't particularly satisfying either. The precision airstrike, or no, that's the firebombing run, is just not. It just doesn't do it for me. It's not hype. Even the minigun Juggernaut, the one that you'd think would be the really cool one, since it would be kind of like the one in MW3, not very hype, very hard to use. I'm a huge fan of just running Flame Jug and dogs and stuff like that, because a lot of the other streaks aren't super exciting. So what I would like to see in the future is some modifications to some of these streaks to make them feel a little bit more fun. Or, the next topic, if Sledgehammer is going to do Killstreak DLC in the same way that Treyarch did Killstreak DLC this year, it would be really awesome if they added in some big ones like the Ball Turret Gunner, some version of a Blackbird, counter attack dogs, or those like Russian attack dogs that had the C4 on their back, so they just run and blow up, would be super fun. Or even better, I don't know how many of you played Advanced Warfare, but if you remember in that game, you had mods that you could put on your kill streaks. Like you would equip the streak, there were score streaks in that game, and then you could say you want extra time, extra damage, more armor, bigger explosions, whatever, and you would equip all these little mods, and it would increase the point value to where it was harder to earn, but when you earned it, it would be a stronger streak. I would absolutely love to see that system come back to, I was going to say Advanced Warfare, it's Call of Duty Vanguard, so that if you want to get like more dogs or tougher dogs or a longer range on your flamethrower or whatever, you're going to need like 3 or 4 more kills. So you can make your streaks harder to earn, but also more powerful. I just adore that. Final 3 are going to be a little bit faster. I'm going to talk briefly about Zombies mode. That's kind of a fail. I don't think I've ever seen the Zombies community turn on a mode as hard as they have turned on this Zombies mode. And I really understand why. There's no Pack-a-Punch camos, there's no wonder weapons. There's not really I guess there's a main Easter egg. It's like a story plot thing. There's no side Easter eggs. Limited quotes, limited map, not round-based. It's just really not Call of Duty Zombies. It feels like Treyarch got hired and they told them, all right guys, you've got like 3 or 4 months to make the best Zombies experience possible, and you have to do it in this engine that you've never worked with and use these assets that are already in the game because we don't have time to make new stuff go. And they did. Treyarch tried their best with a limited time, and they turned out something that is not much more complicated than Chaos Mode from MW3. It's just very lackluster, and that's unfortunate. The zombies community is turning on it, and I feel like in the first update that for the zombies community to stick with this game, that Sledgehammer is going to have to throw down something pretty big, a new map, a massive update with all sorts of like gun mods and camos and new bosses and just some huge stuff for zombies, because zombies is struggling big time. The next thing I'd like to see is AntiCheat, and I think that's coming in the future. I mean, they've already announced that. As of right now, there's still people cheating in Call of Duty Vanguard. Even if it hasn't been out very long, people are already cheating. We knew that they would. It's annoying. It's still frustrating to see. We've been waiting for years for AntiCheat, and I do hope that it finally comes with the Pacific update. Then finally, the very last thing I'd like to request moving forward is a little bit more original content. I know that remakes and remasters are very popular. They've dominated, in my opinion, a disproportionate percentage of DLC maps, because I think that's an easy thing to get people hyped about, is old maps coming back. But I'd like to really see some more new maps, some more innovative stuff. Or if you're going to remake an old map, put in some of this new destructive stuff and see what you can do. Really change it up. Maybe I'm just getting old. I'm a boomer. Maybe my nostalgia meter is running low. My nostalgia glands, they've been drained. But I kind of don't want to play the same Vacant again. I don't want to play the same Rust. I don't want to play the same version of Summit or, you know, Kill House or whatever. Make it different. So when the DLC does come, I'm really hoping for some new stuff that I haven't experienced before. Well guys, that's all for this video, in my opinion. I hope that you learned something useful. I hope that Sledgehammer Games keeps improving Call of Duty Vanguard, because it's defying all of my expectations and slowly turning into a banger. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.